Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Volume 580 of Boxing Beats and Rhymes, as we talk about the topics that interest you, the boxing fan. Has Chris Eubank burnt one bridge too many with the British boxing promoters? Will he be able to get the career-defining fights as Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn are at the top of the chain in terms of promoters in the world?
Why boxer? Because every other promoter out here is a scumbag.
Whereas a lot of fighters would probably like to do that, but they can't do that. They can't do that because they're scared of getting sued or they're scared of the repercussions. But I actually thought, good on you, man, that's a bottle, boy.
Yeah, it took some bottle, but he did retract the statement. Yeah, it was best Chris protect the bag and just say he's sorry. Although the damage was done, he did throw the cat amongst the pigeons, he did. And some of the potency of the scumbag statement was taken away by retracting it and apologising. But he doesn't care about that, like his dad says.
I know that my son Junior, he's a money man.
However, Chris Jr., he's one of the most bankable commodities, with Eddie Hearn wanting to make a lucrative Wembley Stadium fight with him and Conor Benn. Frank Warren wants to get him in the ring with Hamza Shiraz, because as dangerous as Hamza is and as good as his resume is developing, he doesn't have that dance partner to take him into household name territory. Very good wins, Ammo Williams. Very good wins, Tyler Denny. Yes, the best British middleweight in the country. Frank can make the Denzel Bentley fight, but it's very dangerous. Very dangerous fight. Denzel isn't no joke. And as good as Denzel is, no disrespect to Denzel, big up Battersea, he doesn't take Hamza into household name territory.
What can you tell us about the Hamza Shiraz offer, the $5 million that was made to Eubank?
That's true.
Yeah.
It's not bullshit, that's true. And that offer was made by Turkey Al Sheikh.
Chris turned down $5 million for the fight. Turned down the Johnny Beck fight for 2 titles at 160. Turned down the Canelo fight because he was inactive. Well, so he and Bem Shalom said, but before that, they clearly gave away the game, that they were pricing themselves out, looking at the Billy Joe Saunders numbers and thinking, well, we ain't getting nowhere near that. That's because Billy Joe Saunders was a world champion and Chris is not.
Do me a favour.
And I'm not enough of a fan that I'm going to do damage control for Chris. Let's just say that. It's inexcusable. But however, saying all that, he's one of the few currently active fighters in the UK who can get on GMB, as he did just the other week, punching up former Labour politician Ed Balls. Yep, him, along with Conor Benn, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, are among the current active fighters who can get on GMB. That in the United Kingdom is star power.
They want people to villainise him for daring to speak his mind.
Well, we got to start at the top of the food chain as Turkey Al Sheikh and his people. The fact is, I've never seen a spat between either Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren, Eddie Hearn and a promoter, Eddie Hearn and a boxer, Frank Warren and a boxer, be resolved as quick as that. And Turkey Al Sheikh is the man who can squash these spats so everyone can get on with the business of making fights. And me personally, I don't want to see the promoters ostracizing him because he had something to say. And Frank Warren himself said, no, I'm not going to ostracize him. I want to make the fights with him because he's confident that the likes of Hamza Shiraz and Denzel Bentley will beat him. And that's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear all this, you said this and you said that, and the fight doesn't happen. This is boxing. If the boxer is cross at the promoter and the opportunity comes for him to destroy one of that promoter's fighters, he should take the opportunity. That's the sweetest revenge you can get. Big up Turkey Al Sheikh. The issue isn't if the likes of Cali Sowland, Eddie Hearn or Frank Warren are going to ostracize Chris. It's if Chris will take the fights right now. Look how much fights he's ducked out of recently.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Like across the pond, I'm seeing a lot of boxing fans and Devin Haney fans who don't want to give Ryan Garcia a fight. They don't want to put no money in his pocket. They want to ostracize him and keep him out of the loop. I'm not sure how well that works in boxing though. It kind of goes against the principles that you're angry at someone in boxing and what you do is avoid the fight with them. What kind of statement is that? And look, a fight is on the back burner with this lawsuit. But what other fight does either Ryan or Devin take for redemption other than the rematch? Devin Haney on Friday filed a lawsuit against Ryan Garcia alleging battery, fraud and unjust enrichment, while also naming Garcia's promoter Golden Boy Promotions in the lawsuit. demanding a full review and adjustment of accounting for their bout that now stands as a no contest. Ryan came in overweight, which you can't hold against Ryan, because Devin and Bill agreed to take huge sums of money for each pound Ryan came in overweight. Then after 3 knockdowns and a bad beating, Ryan washed Devin on the scorecards, and then days later, VADA popped him for the performance-enhancing substance Ostarine, and his victory was converted to the no contest while Garcia was slapped with a year-long suspension and fines. Devin's attorney wrote in the 16-page filing that Haney is seeking punitive damages for the transgressions committed by Garcia. The lawsuit was filed in the U.S. District Court in the Eastern District of New York, the venue where Garcia and Devin Haney fought at Brooklyn's Barclays Center. Has there been a case like this before? And I don't recall a case like this, where a boxer has faced a lawsuit for the taking of PEDs. I don't think it would be the ultimate deterrent in the war against PEDs in sports, or let's just keep it simple, boxing. But we have to see how it plays out and how much they're going to hit Golden Boy for and hit Ryan for. And it could be a template that makes boxers think about what they're doing for real. The lawsuit talks about Ryan behaving erratically throughout the lead up to the fight, talking incessantly on social media about conspiracy theories, acting strangely at their Hollywood news conference and finally missing the weight by 3.5 pounds, swigging from a beer bottle while standing on the ceremonial scale. Let's not forget there was 3 positive Ostarine results backed up by positive tests on the B samples. The Haney camp attached a YouTube video of Garcia taking an IV of fluid with a yellowish tinge before the bout. At no time did Devin consent to engage in a bout against a boxer who was positive for a performing-enhancing drug, performing-enhancing procedure, or masking agent, and would not have proceeded with the bout had he had known, is what Devin's attorney wrote in the lawsuit. The New York State Athletic Commission would not have permitted the bout had it had known of the positive finding of Garcia's IV use. Adding insult to the commission and to the sport of boxing, Mr. Garcia has alleged that he was high as F during his bout with Mr. Haney. This very clearly brings disrepute on the sport of boxing and by derivation on the New York State Athletic Commission. After Garcia named one individual for supplying him with the Ostarine, Haney's legal team wants to hold any such people responsible. Respect to the Haneys. They're going deep. They're going deep. Now, Ryan implicated NutraBio, the supplement provider, for why the Ostarine was in his system. But he gave VADA, or whoever was testing the supplements that he used, containers that was opened already, which means he could have contaminated the supplement. NutraBio, they came out with their lab technicians explaining their process of how they make their supplements, and they were ready to sue Ryan, but they didn't go through with it. But right now, if they get sued, they're going to obviously counter-sue Ryan. But I'm not sure who the attorney's going to go after. Are they going to go after NutraBio or Scooter, Ryan's nutritionist, who he threw under the bus when he realized, I better not mess with NutraBio, when they brought out the lab technicians and started going into the supplement process making jargon. There's a lot of people in the industry, Bob Arum, saying that boxers shouldn't sue each other.
Bob, keep your motherfucking mouth shut before I'm gonna beat your old ass up.
Now, unjust enrichment and battery was self-explanatory, but fraud is the one I didn't understand when I started reading the article. But they're saying that the fraud count is connected to Garcia's signed claims that he would fight drug-free and that he would make weight for the title fight. Now, this is where they're going to have issues because they took money for him coming overweight. They did take money. As for the just enrichment count, Haney's legal team says Garcia does not deserve to keep his purse and pay-per-view cut. By virtue of his actions, Ryan was enriched at the expense of Devin Haney to the tune of millions of dollars. The attorney then wrote, specifically Ryan Garcia advanced his reputation at the expense of Devin Haney. This translates to significant loss of future earnings for Devin Haney. Ryan Garcia, additionally, received millions of dollars to which he was not entitled. It is against equity and good conscience to permit Ryan Garcia to retain what is sought to be recovered in this action. As for Oscar De La Hoya, Golden Boy, who are also named in this lawsuit. Haney claims he's been deprived of funds demanded by a June the 20th New York Commission consent order. Under the terms of the consent order, Ryan Garcia must return the guaranteed non-pay-per-view earnings he has been paid to his promoter, Golden Boy. DEVIN Haney Incorporated are contractually entitled to 47% of all profits for the bout and is thus entitled to 47% of the funds required to be returned. Golden Boy has asserted that it will not share its extra profits from the bout as a result of the forfeiture ordered by the New York Athletic Commission. This constitutes a breach of contract by Golden Boy and or unjust enrichment to Golden Boy, the lawsuit alleges. Haney's legal team is requesting further funds from Golden Boy due to Garcia to be placed in an escrow account. Bill Haney said Friday that his son will still accept a rematch against Garcia as long as the purse money is acceptable and that Garcia is held to the most stringent of drug testing screening. Obviously, Golden Boy haven't got back to boxing scene to comment on the lawsuit. I'm guessing they've got Ryan and Oscar gagged up. You know, all the people saying that boxers shouldn't sue other boxers or Devin is looking soft doing this. The lack of humility shown by Ryan and Oscar is exactly why this needs to happen. It goes without saying no fighter should take illegal substances and go in a ring where they could do potential permanent damage to their opponent. But people do stupid things. But when you do stupid things as adults and you don't have contrition in a situation like this, in such a high-profile event, yes, a lawsuit is necessary.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
From my point of view as well, like being from a Nation family, nothing's ever plain sailing either. Do you kind of envisage a future, like years down the line, where maybe there's a better relationship in the family? Or
I mean, as you said, it's hard and you never know what's going to happen. But I think right now that our relationship is completely dead in the water and I don't want to speak to him for the foreseeable future. It is what it is. It's a shame, but, you know, if you knew what happened, I just wish I could click my fingers and you could see and then you can make a decision about who is telling the truth or what. And then you can make your own decision about whether someone's right for not revisiting a relationship. But I can't do that. That relationship is dead in the water and I just wish either my dad, you know, keep my name out of his mouth or if you are going to say about it, just speak the truth. I wanted Karen to be a certain way. She stopped being that way and we fell out. As simple as that.
Does that also extend to Daniel as well? Do you not speak to Daniel?
I don't speak to him.
Okay.
We ain't nothing but mammals. Well, some of us cannibals that cut other people open like cantaloupes. How to deal with a bad relationship with your parents. I'm saying that in the context like continual beatings, physical beatings, and verbal abuse too. That type of trauma is going to need special counseling, which I can't assist you in. I'm not a parent, but I'm guessing it's a thankless task at times. Being a child, you didn't ask to be born, so your transition from the womb into the world, into adulthood, you will hope will be a fulfilling experience. No parent gets it 100% right, mum or dad, and they're not supposed to either. For some parents, getting you to the threshold of mid-teens or whatnot is job done. They fed you, clothed you and sheltered you. They've done their job. Some parents are just functional, no more than that. I've heard it all in the workplace in recent years where people talk about parents have got to be a friend to their kids or they've got this thing these days called peaceful parenting. And it's something foreign to some of us who are a little older. When I grew up, it wasn't uncommon to see kids getting beaten on the street by their parents. It wasn't uncommon at all. I'd done a little research before I'd done the vid. And I was shocked to find out that caning was taken out of schools in 1986. I thought it was before that for some reason. And I remember the cane. In junior school, we used to get the slipper. And 26 years is contemporary history, but it's still a quarter of a century. And it's saying here that British Parliament outlawed corporal punishment in state-run schools and private schools that received some government funding on July the 22nd, 1986. The ban was extended to private schools in England and Wales in 1998 and in Scotland in 2000 and Northern Ireland in 2003. So it shows how much in the last 26 years or so attitudes have changed from how adults, teachers and parents are expected to discipline their children and what kind of relationship that adults and children are supposed to have. Caroline said she wanted to click her fingers so everybody could see he was telling the truth. But what you'll find with family disputes, trying to prove to the world who's been wronged and who hasn't, and what the truth is not what's going to heal you. And no, I don't have the answer on what's going to heal you, but who's right and who's wrong with family generally doesn't resolve itself very well. The hardest thing sometimes is to walk away from situations with family, because sometimes the reconciliation with family members might have to occur without them changing and you just accepting shit as it is, or walk away. And yes, they may well be the party who's in the wrong. So the stories conflicted on female boxing, where Dave or Stan, what is it, Dave or Stan? Dear Stan. The stories conflicted on female boxing. Apparently Stan or Dave did an interview where he said he didn't like female boxing. Caroline said, well, that's not true. He did support her career from when she was 9 up until 16. And then he lost interest. His focus went towards the boys. And I'm guessing them boxing. He wasn't interested in his girls, is what Caroline said. And apparently Dave said himself in a recent interview. Caroline said her dad didn't like the way she was changing. One of the accounts I heard, allegedly, in Dad's eyes, the boxing was making her too masculine. Caroline said Dad wanted her to be like Daniel. If that is true, well, Daniel is a masculine dude, so why would you want her to be like Daniel? If you think the box is making her masculine, you probably meant be obedient like Daniel, because Daniel doesn't seem like he disobeys his dad one bit. A lot of people are talking about it sounds like she escaped from a cult. Well, Caroline didn't say that. People are jumping to conclusions. She didn't say that. She made an analogy. And in the analogy, she did say that he was trying to control her. And that's why she had to leave the family home. You know, people these days, they embellish a whole lot on accounts of certain events. They embellish a whole lot. A parent being controlling is not necessarily by any means the same as the parent running the household like a cult. Now, she said that Stan made Daniel box while she wanted to box at 9 years old. A lot of people are going to jump to conclusions on that he made Daniel box, that he's an evil dictator or whatnot. Yo, my dad made me box when I was young because he probably thought I was a bit of a pussy. I don't think he forced Daniel into doing something he didn't want to do. I see a picture of Daniel when he was 11, when David Hay visited the Peacock Gym where Daniel was at, and Daniel had a big smile on his face with all the other kids. He didn't look like an unhappy kid one bit. I'm not going to spend too long on it. When fathers try to turn their sons into soldiers, or try to mold and shape their sons, you know, his dad right now is saying, yeah, I achieved my objective. I molded Daniel into the world heavyweight champion. Women are a little more complex though. And being Caroline is only 23, she won't agree with a word I'm saying, and she shouldn't either. She needs to go and discover things for herself. But that's what dads do and mothers do. They try and mold their kids to become what they think will be productive or successful adults. That's what they do. So dad might have thought, I want Caroline to be a feminine, angelic girl who doesn't box, who will listen to what direction daddy wants to push her in. My mum didn't pressure me to be anything either way, but my dad used to tell me I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do this, and I resented it. But that is what some parents do, especially the old school parents. The conflicting stories on whether Stan liked women boxing or not, I don't know. I will say this though, it's mainly men who sub to this channel, as would be expected with most of the boxing channels on YouTube. And there's not many, men or women, in this comment section who want to see their kids get punched in their face, let alone their little girls. I would hazard a guess that when Stan saw Caroline was getting really good at what she did, because she was a very good amateur apparently, and started harbouring ambitions to be a pro and a world champion as well, he couldn't keep a lid on the bubbling cauldron of Caroline Dubois, who was a talented young lady. Caroline felt she was being controlled. And obviously Daddy's going to say something different. Not talking to her big brother, especially now he's world champion, and not being able to celebrate with him and soak up what it's like to be around a world heavyweight champion. It must be difficult. That must be difficult for her and the other siblings who left home with her. I think that probably troubled me a little more. I think splitting division between siblings and children is probably worse than splitting division between children and parents. I believe a child and a parent can have a healthy, well, a functional relationship anyway, without being friends. That's my opinion from the generation I come from. But you could probably more confide in your brothers and sisters in stuff you're going through as a kid more than you can in your parents. So to lose them relationships is tough, but I don't know what kind of relationship she had with Daniel even when they were speaking, being that Daniel is just finding his voice now at 27. There's 11 of them apparently, 7 for one woman and 4 with the other. That's a significant big brother not to have in your life. And she even mentioned it before he won the world title. He's still my big brother. And this was maybe a year ago, because they haven't been talking for a couple of years. But I haven't seen Daniel make no videos. That's my sister. I need to talk to her. Daniel's too focused in on punching people up right now and going to Brazil for extracurriculars. So why are Daniel and Caroline not talking? I don't like guessing on what I can't really substantiate for sure, but if she's not talking to Dad, then she ain't talking to Daniel. Anyone who ain't talking to Dad, Daniel ain't talking to. I think it's quite as simple as that. Caroline was on Twitter saying that I'm glad that Matchroom recognised that she's the bogey woman because they didn't mention her name yesterday. And Beatrice Ferreira, Matchroom has the IBF belt. Katie Taylor, Matchroom has the WBA and WBC belt. Caroline has the interim WBC belt. Hopefully she gets mandated to face Katie soon, but it doesn't see much traction on that. And yesterday we saw Terry Harper become a 3-weight champion, taking the 135-pound WBO title from Rhiannon Dixon. And let's not play around. Caroline, talented, but she's not the bogey woman. She did avoid a fight with Beatrice Ferreira when Matchroom cleverly repositioned their 135-pounders, which they could do because they've got a lot of strength there in numbers. So instead of the proposed fight between Caroline and Rhiannon Dixon, who, judging by her performance yesterday, Caroline would have beat her up pretty bad, Matchroom instead proposed that Caroline can fight Beatrice for that vacant IBF belt. And she didn't want no parts of Beatrice because Beatrice is a beast. She avoided that. Rhiannon instead fought for the vacant WBO title, and she won that. Beatrice sought out the IBF title, and she won that. And she shut out the picture. And with Ben Shalom, not really experienced enough is what I'm going to say. I don't even put it down to that. Just a bad promoter. Like, what's he going to do to get her a fight with Terry Harper, Katie Taylor, and Beatrice Ferreira? When's that going to happen? IBO belt? That's not a proper world title to a British fighter of Caroline's caliber. And I don't see nothing being done to maneuver her into a fight with one of these Matchroom fighters. And nobody can say, well, Matchroom don't want to work with other promoters, because that's just simply not true at all. The current state of play at 135 for the women is Caroline has to cross over and challenge one of the Matchroom women to make her name in the game. It's as simple as that. Defending that IBO title at the York Hall, love the York Hall, big up the York Hall. But Rhiannon Dixon and Terry Harper were fighting in front of a big crowd, bigger crowd than the York Hall in Sheffield yesterday. And Caroline ain't in the mix. IBO belt, come on now. Although they were saying they're probably going to feed Terry to Beatrice in a unification. And obviously Katie Taylor's got Amanda Serrano next on that Mike Tyson-Jake Paul card, whenever that is. Why isn't Ben positioning her to fight the winner of Beatrice or Terry Harper? I think she could beat Terry. Beatrice, That's a tough fight, which I think Beatrice might be fancied to win.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.